Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. And today we are diving into a development that is shaking the political and international stage. Former President Donald Trump has made a declaration about Ukraine that many believe could change the direction of the war, the global balance of power, and even the U.S. approach to international conflict. The statement has not only surprised his supporters, but also sparked reactions from world leaders, analysts, and policy experts across the globe. To truly understand the weight of this declaration, we need to break down what Trump said, why it matters, and how it could reshape the ongoing crisis in Ukraine. Trump has always been known for his blunt approach, his willingness to go against established norms, and his tendency to voice positions that diverge from traditional U.S. foreign policy. His declaration on Ukraine follows that same pattern. What makes this particular moment significant is the timing. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine is now at a critical stage, with ongoing military operations, mounting casualties, and increasing pressure on NATO countries to take stronger stances. Against this backdrop, Trump's words carry enormous implications not only for U.S. politics but also for international diplomacy. In his statement, Trump emphasized that the United States has been overly involved in the Ukraine conflict without a clear path forward. He suggested that if he were in office, the war would never have escalated to this point, claiming he could bring both sides to the negotiating table in a matter of days. This assertion has drawn mixed reactions. Some of his supporters view it as a bold claim, reflecting his image as a deal-maker who prioritizes peace through negotiation rather than endless military involvement. Others, however, argue that such declarations oversimplify the complex realities of the war, where issues of sovereignty, security, and historical grievances are deeply intertwined. The declaration also highlights Trump's long-standing skepticism about U.S. funding for Ukraine. Billions of dollars have been allocated in aid, weapons, and logistical support, raising questions among American taxpayers about how long this financial commitment can be sustained. Trump's position resonates with a portion of the population that feels domestic issues should take precedence over foreign conflict. By questioning the necessity of continuing this support, Trump is positioning himself as a leader who wants to redirect resources back home while urging European allies to shoulder more of the burden. At the same time, Trump's statement sparked alarm among Ukrainian officials. For them, U.S. support has been a lifeline in resisting Russian aggression. Any hint of wavering commitment from Washington creates uncertainty and could embolden Moscow. Russia, of course, pays close attention to these shifts in rhetoric, interpreting them as potential signs of weakening Western unity. If Trump's words suggest a future in which the U.S. scales back its involvement, it could alter calculations on the battlefield and in diplomatic circles. The broader geopolitical ramifications are also worth examining. NATO allies rely heavily on U.S. leadership in sustaining their collective stance against Russia. If Trump's declaration signals a possible retreat from that leadership, European countries may face greater pressure to step up militarily and financially. Some European leaders already worry that U.S. domestic politics could directly impact the stability of their region. Trump's words remind them that the transatlantic alliance, while strong, is not immune to shifts in American politics. It is also important to consider how Trump's declaration plays into the ongoing debate within the United States. The American political landscape is divided on the issue of Ukraine. While many Republicans continue to support aid packages, a growing faction within the party shares Trump's skepticism. Democrats, on the other hand, generally argue that sustained support for Ukraine is essential to defending democracy and deterring authoritarian aggression. Trump's latest remarks add fuel to this already heated debate, making Ukraine a central issue in the political narrative leading up to future elections. Critics of Trump's approach argue that his focus on quick negotiations underestimates the deep mistrust between Kyiv and Moscow. Ukraine has repeatedly stated that it cannot accept any settlement that compromises its territorial integrity. Russia, meanwhile, shows little willingness to back down from its strategic objectives. Any negotiation would therefore require massive concessions, which could leave Ukraine vulnerable. For critics, Trump's declaration risks painting an unrealistic picture of what is achievable and could inadvertently undermine Ukraine's negotiating position. Supporters, however, believe that Trump is tapping into a sentiment that many Americans quietly share. Endless wars and prolonged foreign entanglements have historically eroded public trust in U.S. foreign policy. From Iraq to Afghanistan, the lesson for many is that costly commitments abroad often yield little benefit at home. By promising a swift resolution, Trump presents himself as a leader who can break free from the cycle of endless wars and focus on America's interests first. Another dimension to this declaration is Trump's ongoing rivalry with the Biden administration. President Biden has made strong support for Ukraine a centerpiece of his foreign policy. Trump's contrasting approach not only distinguishes him politically, but also casts doubt on the effectiveness of Biden's strategy. By questioning the administration's decisions, Trump appeals to voters who are frustrated with rising costs of living, inflation, and the perception that resources are being drained overseas while Americans face challenges at home. Trump's declaration also plays into his broader narrative of being tough on NATO allies. He has long argued that European countries rely too heavily on the United States for defense spending and military power. In the context of Ukraine, his statement could be seen as a challenge to Europe. Take more responsibility for your own security or risk losing U.S. support. This has always been a controversial stance, but it resonates with voters who question why the U.S. bears such a heavy financial and military load. From the perspective of Ukraine itself, Trump's remarks create both uncertainty and urgency. Ukrainian leaders are keenly aware that political shifts in Washington can directly impact their survival. They are therefore likely to double down on securing bipartisan support in Congress, while simultaneously strengthening ties with European allies. Trump's declaration, while hypothetical at this stage, sends a message that the U.S. political environment remains unpredictable, and Ukraine must prepare for multiple scenarios. Russia, meanwhile, could interpret Trump's words as a potential opportunity. If Moscow believes that U.S. commitment might waver under future leadership, it may feel emboldened to prolong the conflict in hopes of securing more favorable conditions later. This is a dangerous calculation, as it could lead to an escalation in hostilities while waiting for political winds to shift in the West. Trump's statement, whether intentionally or not, may therefore influence Russian strategy on the battlefield. At the same time, it's worth remembering that Trump has a history of making bold declarations that are not always followed by concrete policy changes. His negotiation style often involves setting dramatic positions early, then working toward a deal. Supporters might see this as a strength, while critics view it as inconsistency. The declaration on Ukraine may fit this pattern, raising questions about whether it reflects an actual plan or simply a rhetorical move to distinguish himself politically. Internationally, reactions have been mixed. Some leaders welcomed the possibility of renewed U.S. leadership focused on ending the war, while others expressed concern that Trump's approach could undermine Ukraine's sovereignty. The declaration has become a talking point in diplomatic discussions, reflecting just how much influence American politics holds over global affairs. Even as a former president, Trump's words carry weight because they signal potential future policy direction. This moment also illustrates the deep intersection between domestic politics and global security. The Ukraine war is not just a regional conflict. It is a test of international order, alliances, and principles of sovereignty. Trump's declaration underscores how a single political figure's position can ripple across continents, shaping perceptions, strategies, and decisions far beyond America's borders. The media has seized upon this declaration with intensity, framing it as everything from a bold peace plan to a reckless oversimplification. The public is left to sort through conflicting interpretations, each colored by political loyalties and ideological divides. What is clear, however, is that Trump's words have reignited debates about America's role in the world and the limits of its involvement in long-term conflicts. Looking ahead, the declaration is likely to remain a focal point of discussion as the U.S. heads toward another election cycle. Voters will be asked to weigh not only domestic issues but also America's role on the international stage. For Trump, this declaration is a strategic move to rally support among those who are weary of foreign entanglement. For his opponents, it is an opportunity to argue that his approach would weaken global stability and embolden authoritarian regimes. In conclusion, Trump's shocking declaration on Ukraine has indeed changed everything, not necessarily in terms of immediate policy, but in terms of the political discourse surrounding the war. It has highlighted the divide in American politics, influenced international perceptions, and reminded the world that U.S. leadership is both powerful and unpredictable. Whether one views his words as a bold vision for peace or a dangerous oversimplification, there is no denying their impact. The coming months will reveal how deeply this declaration reshapes the debate, the alliances, and the strategies that define one of the most consequential conflicts of our time.